Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host Paul, aka Dude Looks Like a Lady, and in this video we're breaking down everything you need to know about Lady Loki. Episode 2 had me wondering whether I'd fuck me, and there's a lot of questions surrounding the character. So bad. Now we're going to be discussing not only her origins, but also what we think might be happening in the show. There's also a clue that she might actually be another character from the Marvel Universe, but as she's going as a Loki variant in the meantime, I think we should discuss her comic book roots. Lady Loki was first teased in the series by the release of press material which stated that Loki was gender fluid. This is something that is true to the comics, and the character has appeared in a number of things including Vote Loki, Thor and Loki, and Loki Agent of Asgard. However, she first popped up as a fully fledged character after the events of Ragnarok. Now Loki is of course based on the Norse trickster god of the same name. Throughout the legends he was known as a shapeshifter that would alter his appearance in order to deceive people, and in several of the myths he appeared as an elderly woman. He was no ordinary god, and the myths are where a lot of the inspiration for his shapeshifting comes from. The character has been reinvented over the years, and this has meant that he's had a long and rich history that's led to several variants in different versions. However, the main one was getting very one note, and looking back over the decades, there weren't really any massive standout Loki stories that showed the potential of what the character could be. Marvel felt that he was getting a bit stale, and after being foiled countless times, the comic book creators decided to take Loki in a brand new, hotter direction. Now, in order to talk about her origins, we have to travel back to Ragnarok.
Destruction of Asgard and most of its people. I'm sorry.
Yes, very sad.
In Marvel Comics, Loki was prophesied to lead Asgard's enemies to bring Ragnarok to fruition, and he and Thor went head to head. Now, speaking of heads, Thor actually pulled Loki's head off his body and hung it on his belt so that he could watch the passing of Ragnarok. Ragnarok is very much a part of the life cycle of Asgard, and thus it was always inevitable. Thor was under the impression that everyone had died out, but he soon realised that their spirits had been displaced and absorbed into other bodies. After speaking with his alter ego Donald Blake, Thor realised that it was his mission to reunite the Asgardians, and after finding Heimdall, he used his eyes to locate the other lost souls. It became clear pretty early on that these were indeed continuations of the older characters, so if you're a fan of the past versions, you can still follow your favourites, and now feel attracted to them too. Shabow! Now Thor believed that he tracked down Sif, but instead this was revealed to be Loki, whose spirit was inhabiting the body of the one she was intended to take over. Loki seemed to be a changed man, literally, and she said that she was now reborn with a new mentality that meant she would become a force for good. Thor was cautious at first, but he did learn to trust her. However, when it comes to Loki, you should always expect the expected, and it was revealed that she actually had nefarious plans. Dun dun dun. Now this was during a time in which Norman Osborn had gained control of S.H.I.E.L.D. and he ended up replacing Tony Stark as the director. This arc was known as Dark Reign, and it came in the aftermath of Secret Invasion. In case you haven't read that, Skrulls basically transformed into the heroes and pretended to be them, which fooled a lot of people, and it meant that those in power couldn't really be trusted. Lady Loki actually convinced the Asgardians into believing that Beta Ray Bill was a Skrull, and it led to a lot of issues internally. Now why they chose to put Norman Osborn in charge, I have no idea, but I suppose looking at his CV, he had experience leading the Sinister Six, so we'll forget about all that bad stuff. And when can you start? Osborn quickly formed an evil super team called the Cabal, which was made up of members like Lady Loki, Emma Frost, Namor, Doctor Doom and the Hood. Here she allied herself with Doctor Doom, and it was revealed that the pair planned to resurrect the enemies of Asgard. Osborn himself also wanted to launch a new world order, and he joined the He promised to put Asgard back up where it belonged, and this was of course a very attractive idea to those that had just been displaced because of the events of Ragnarok. Loki was still desperate to rule, and it turned out that she had travelled back in time to alter events so that Bor, aka the father of Odin, could be resurrected after his death. In the present, Loki brought him back to life and enchanted him so that he believed everyone was his enemy. He went on a rampage, and Thor ended up killing him. However, this was seen as a capital crime because Bor was technically the king due to still being alive. Thus, Thor had killed the king of Asgard, and he was banished from their community because of what their laws decreed. Thor was kicked out of Asgardian society, and because of this he wasn't able to be king, and thus Loki had manipulated events so that she was the successor to the throne of Asgard. A big war with Asgard ended up happening, and Loki returned to his male form, with Sif being restored too. Loki ended up dying, and his spirit was reborn in Paris, and he became a child pickpocket in the city. This led to him dying once more, and we got the events of Loki, Agent of Asgard. This sort of inspired the show a bit, and in that Loki was working for the All-Mother, attempting to right the wrongs of his past by being a force for good. It was very much his second chance, and there were alternate versions of Loki running around, which I think very much inspires what we see in the series. The comic even inspired the design of Lady Loki somewhat, as in that he had half a horn on his crown, which she does too when we eventually meet her. Now in episode 2, we are shown several alternate versions of Loki, including a Hulk one, as well as a Tour de France winner. We're also informed that each Loki has slightly different powers, so we can't really use his typical skill set to say exactly what abilities she possesses. In the episode, we see her possessing a brand new power, which involves possessing people. This can be passed on by touch, and it means that she's able to jump from body to body whilst evading capture. It turns out Lady Loki has been lying low during apocalyptic events in which there were no survivors. Because of this, no matter what action she takes, there won't be a nexus point created because nothing will matter, and thus the TVA will never be aware of what's going on. Now it turns out that she's been ambushing the TVA throughout time in order to collect reset charges so that she can launch them throughout the time stream as bombs in order to massively alter history. This will completely overwhelm the TVA, and when they're out and about pruning branches in the multiverse, it will weaken their grip and allow for them to sneak in whilst they're at their weakest. We learned that C20 had given away how to find them. I think that next time we will find out her origin story in the MCU. There seems to be a big moment in the trailer where both she and Loki are sitting down at what seems like an apocalyptic event, and the pair are discussing something. I think this will probably be her life story, but I don't want to do too many theories as this video could end up being out of date in less than a week. We did see at the end of episode 2 that Lady Loki sent a bomb to Voromir, so who knows if this has a knock-on effect. Anyway, she's mainly been used as a way for Loki to play with people and almost show off that he's able to change form so easily. In Vote Loki, he transformed into the character in order to be a campaign manager when meeting a woman covering the story. This was clearly done as a ploy, as it would be easier for women to see eye to eye with one another over issues that were being covered. In Agent of Asgard, this was done as a way to show that Loki could take on any form he wished, and the character featured towards the end of the series as Loki was trying to decide whether to return or not. In Thor and Loki Double Trouble issue 3, Lady Loki also appeared with a device that allowed her to travel through doorways into alternate dimensions. Now I might have just wasted your time with the character, and she could actually be another person from the Marvel Universe. However, the reason the TVA aren't showing up right now to wipe you out is because you were always supposed to waste your time watching this video, much in the same way that you were always supposed to like it. This is your glorious purpose, brother. Rejoice! Now in the international versions of episode 2, the show comes with credits that state the variant is actually called Sylvie. We put the two versions of them on screen right now so you can see the differences, and in case you don't know, Sylvie went on to become the Enchantress in the Marvel Universe. No, not that one, you idiot. Now Sylvie was born in Oklahoma, which is of course a location we've already visited in the show with her, so it does make sense. Sylvie actually gained her powers from Loki, and she shares several abilities that are similar to his. So it could indeed be Sylvie pretending to be Loki, or it could actually be Mephisto using Loki's body. Now obviously I'd love to hear your thoughts on Lady Loki and what you think will be happening in the show. As a thank you for interacting with the video, you'll be entered into a prize draw on the 30th of June in which we're giving away 3 copies of the MCU Phase 3 box set. All you have to do to be on the chance of winning is like the video, make sure you subscribe with notifications on, and drop a comment below with your thoughts on the character. The winners of last month's competition are on screen right now, so if that's you, then message me on Twitter at HeavySpoilers. If you want something else to watch, then make sure you check out our breakdown of the second episode, which will be linked on screen right now. We've gone over all the Easter eggs and things you might have missed, so definitely check it out if you want something else to watch. With that out of the way, thank you for sitting through this. I've been Paul, I'll see you next time. Take care,